Yo, yo, yo. Cav here. Yeah, as you guys already know, like, I'm not the biggest writer. Struggle to sometimes, like, I spend more time like structuring fucking sentences than I do like, you know, it's all up here, but then like when it comes to like writing and getting it down, like it takes me forever. Like it's actually computationally expensive for my fucking head. So like, you know, moments like these, it's like, cool, let's just jump on and ramble and you know, give some thoughts, especially when there's been a shift in stance, or like at least, you know, a soft pivot, which is totally fine, right? And let's just discuss it quick. So like, you know, the thinking was, you know, well, let's just go back quickly to like the 8th of September, right? The original commentary, where we discussed risk on rally, down the curve, you know, memetics, alts, all the, you know, all the stuff down the curve would rip alongside BTC into 117, 118. We would stall from 117, 118. And then that's when we would commence the leg to the downside, in which we would make new lows beneath 107, the lows that were set back end of August. I think it was, yeah, late August. So, you know, like risk on rally, tick, stall at 117.18, tick, leg lower, tick. But where I think this idea has broken down is like actually the low that was formed, you know, at 109, like that to me, you know, and I do this for a fucking living. I look from lower time frame to higher time frame. It's so many different structure that, you know, where I see bottoms form, right, and how they form, and like, you know, times at which they form, you know, Monday, Friday, like low time frame, higher time frame, like all of the different heuristics for which like bottoms can form. And then like, you know, yeah, of course, like sentiment turned a little bit shit Friday, like, you know, everyone's like, but like, so what, like sentiment fucking flip-flops all the time now, like who cares? Like, yes, we did have, you know, liquidations across the board on alts, right? So we did get like a de-lever there, but we didn't get it on BTC, as we discussed in the most recent thesis. And like, my view was that like we wouldn't push for new highs until we'd, you know, destroyed a bit more positioning on BTC and just had like lost a little bit more hope. Anyway, what did we have? Well, we had like that Friday low, no real wicks, no real sweep of the 107k, like we staggered, and then like chopped sidewards. And the only other bottom where I can remember it forming like this was ETH BTC. It was ETH BTC. We hit that like sort of, we discovered price to the downside and then like went nowhere and started just like a fucking barcode, right? And what did we get Friday? Well, we got the start of a barcode. The barcode carried on into Saturday and into Sunday. And then Sunday night, you start to get some aggressive short squeeze on thin books. You're like, uh-oh, here we go, like, of course. Like late shorts on the fucking Friday, short in the bottom, getting fucked. You know, cool, whatever. It's a green light. Right, go on, buddy. Get a move on. Yeah, so you get the Sunday night short squeeze, which feeds then into Monday. Cool, like half of the course really, like doesn't change the thesis. And like we actually put then the thinking out on Monday, as in like the long from 114k is actually a bad apple, right? That's how like I was thinking about it. So where are we now? We're like, well, we've continued that rally, right? Like it wasn't just you know, a Sunday night short squeeze off some weird, like, fragile looking bottom, we've got continuation. And these aggressive, like, lockout type moves are a sign of strength. It's not like, you know, I'm looking at this going like, ooh, I'm like respecting it. I'm respecting it. And like, when you have an idea, like I do tend to strategize around like scenarios where it can go against you. And like, I almost plan in advance of where like I would let this go against me before it's no longer like, okay, I'm wrong. And I remember we got a similar scenario. You know, obviously I was bearish from fucking Jan top 20th, like straight into the April low, like from literally day high. But like early April, I remember we like started to put in like a bottom light structure, and then like we wicked up on Liberation Day. Everyone's screaming like that fucked every last little bear and short, but like we anticipated that, and like there was a world in which we got a similar setup here where we quickly squeezed up into 117, you know, eradicated any last bit of position into the downside, and then completed the move, right? Into the first and second week of October, we print a low, you know, that is then where we form a constructive base, you know, you get a bit of a cascade in positioning, you get the hope lost, right? And then that's it, like cool, reset, we run it back turbo when everyone's trying to short the market. It didn't happen, right? And like, now price has gone pushed 117, 118, like ETH's pushed through 4250, and Nvidia has also pushed through the high without any real bear sort of rejection stepping in here. So like, regardless of what I think with regards to leverage, regardless of what is going on in the credit market, right? Regardless of what I think, price has gone higher. So we could get a move. This time could be different, right? Like, we could actually rally to new highs whilst also retaining a lot of the leverage embedded in without a material flush on positioning. And that's cool, right? You just gotta play the hand you're dealt. And it's funny because like somebody asked me on Friday, I was like, Cav, like, you know, what probabilities do you give on this being the low? And like, you know, truly speaking, I was like 5%. 5%, you know, it's very rare you see bottoms form like this, like at least meaningful swing lows, especially on a Friday. Like, when does the market ever bottom on a Friday? Like, never. It's like likely a fucking Monday or a Sunday night into the Monday. You know, there's just that famous saying that a market never bottoms on a Friday. Anyway, like, for a multitude of reasons, you know, I thought about about 5% was the probability that I ascribed to the low being put in on Friday. And that's totally fine, right? Because in poker, I think the probability of flopping, if you got a pocket pair, right? I've got deuces in my pocket, 2 twos, right? The probability of me flopping a third and having trips is about 6%. It happens a lot, right? It happens a lot. I've flopped trips many a time, right? So like, even though I ascribe such a low probability to the Friday low being the low, like, the fact that it's happened is totally fine. Totally within the realms of possibility. And I'm like, not gonna beat myself up about it because like, oh, you've not gone against like the fucking what you ascribe to be a 5% probability. Totally fine. Shit. Totally fine. So like, where am I at now? I'm like, well, you know, for me, 118, 4250, the final bosses looks to be past, and like, you can just feel the animal spirits already, can't you? Just like ready to shove if Nvidia cracks up higher from here. Like, the biggest company on the planet, the head of the fucking bubble, rip roaring to like $5 trillion market cap, you know, that's going to unleash a certain type of beast. That's going to unleash a certain type of beast. And like, I was rightly defensive into that downside asymmetry, but like, unless I see a meaningful shift in the coming sort of 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours, I think risk lies up here for BTC and for crypto. And like, you know, I'm kind of looking 1-2 steps ahead here of like what that then could mean, i.e., you know, BTC should hold 118 here, should break the highs. BTC breaks the highs, ETH's gonna crack 5k. ETH cracks 5k, you know, and then it's like, oh, what's next after that? That's what I'm thinking about. Where does capital go when spirits are fucking high after ETH's cracked 5k? It's a 4-year range. So like, from a positioning perspective, that's how I'm thinking about, you know, now getting back on side. And look, like, you know, the time in which Bitcoin has been in a range, like the past couple months, basically since August the 14th, when we called a multi-week, multi-month top, like, had a great time. So like, it's not like, oh shit, massively offside. Like, cool, yeah, I've missed the squeeze up on BTC, but alts haven't really moved. They're like way down from where they were like a week or two ago. So like, super comfy, like super clear-headed, you know, and like the main risks to the bull case, really speaking, are quite clear from here on out, you know, and that's BTC starting to close below 117, ETH starting to close below 4250, and Nvidia back inside the highs. It doesn't need to be more complicated than that from here on out. You know, and like, just be careful. Like, I think things are going to get a bit spicy, and you know, if we do break the highs, you probably want to sit on your hands for a little bit, right? Less is kind of more in that environment. Less is kind of more. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Strong move. We respect strong moves. We don't stubbornly dig our feet in the ground. Yeah. All right. Well, look. That should be a little bit of color. We keep it moving. More life. Ciao for now.